What's up, Tiger fans? It's Morgan here, back again with another quick video about your Clemson Tigers. And not just me, but joining me is Mr. Houston Burnett in the middle and Big Al, Alan Adams. It's kind of crazy. We're all back together. The gang's back in town. And today we are going to be discussing our grades for the end of the year because it's the year's over. The season's over, fellas. January 13th is going to be report to team meetings for the next year. It's over. But we will look back and reflect on how the Clemson team did, specifically with grading, because Al, you and I did grading many years ago, and people seem to love it. And then we went away from it just because of the time we had a time crunch on radio. Well, now that we're in the off season and we're going to do some video clips, we got some time. So let's do our grades. Fellas, if you don't mind, let's do position by position and get in the comments too. If you're watching this video and you're interested and you want to give us your grades, please do in the comments. So let's start off with the position I think is really, the one that everybody talks about, which is the quarterback position. Cade Klubnik, DJ Uiagalelei. DJ started out. I believe that DJ did improve from the previous season in 2021. And then as the season went on, things started to kind of unravel. I wouldn't say it's all DJ's fault, but things started to unravel for him. He lost Bo Collins, which I felt like was a big deal. And then he started losing his actual playing time, and Cade was replacing him, ultimately to be replaced in the ACC championship game there at the end. If you're a Tiger fan, obviously you know that. The grade for me for quarterback, I really have to give him a C. I feel like Clemson, we've been spoiled with what we've seen, what potential we know. Can Clemson ever get those Trevor Lawrences and Deshaun Watsons back again? Maybe not. But I don't feel like Clemson is performing where they need to be for the quarterback position. There's lots of potential there for Cade Klubnik. Still yet to be seen, though. He's got a lot of work to do. We'll start with Houston in the middle. What do you think? What's your grade?
Well, all right. So this is actually probably the most complicated out of the group to grade because of the situation there. I'd say overall, if you're taking holistically the season with good DJ, bad DJ, and Cade, it's a C. Now, if you take it and split it between them, I would say, good DJ, B, C, something like that. Bad DJ, D, and then Cade, I'd probably put it at a B minus, something like that. I will say this, just because Cade has played one start and, some people have already bailed on him, he is absolutely a talent that can take Clemson to the next level. I want to make sure that's out there. So, it may not be Trevor Lawrence right now, or it may not be Deshaun right now, but I want to make that clear statement right here. Cade can be that. He can absolutely be that talent. And I think he showed a lot of flashes, even in the Orange Bowl, that he could be that type of talent. First pass to Cole Turner. How many times have you seen that in the last 2 years? He can do that. You just got to get more consistent at it. It's not as dire as it is. I think he's got room for improvement, but he has got the foundations there to be elite. Oh, I think you might be muted there, Morgan.
Yep.
Excuse
there
me.
He is.
Big Al, what's your thoughts?
Well, I need the shirt. I agree with Houston. This is it's one of those seasons where there's so many different snippets you can take out of it. You can take the beginning of the year, and then you can take the middle of the year with DJ, and then you can take the end of the year with Cade, and it's three completely separate ball games. When we were at the beginning of this season, we thought, hey, DJ may have found something here. He's obviously he's not the guy we all thought he was going to be when he came here, but this is a guy you can win with. This is a guy who's playing mistake-free football, and he's not making mistakes. We can win with this guy, and we can get to where we need to be. Then you got middle of the season, towards the end of the season, DJ, and it was just a complete 180. He couldn't complete a pass. He got to his last start, and he was, bounced the first pass to Ngata. It was an unbelievable deal. So I think overall you have to grade the season a C. I think that's about right. I think y'all are pretty spot on with that. But Cade absolutely has the potential to get exactly where we need him to be. I know a lot of people were giving him a hard time because he was retreating backwards way too much. And I was like, look, that's a problem. He can't drop back 20 yards and expect to get any forward progress or anything like that. We understand that. We understand he's got to learn to step up into the pocket, feel that pocket presence, how long he's got. A lot of that depends on the offensive line. He's going to have to get some receivers that you do a better job, or some scheme to get people more open. So there's a lot that goes into the quarterback grade as well, besides just the quarterback. But he has showed flashes, just like Houston said. He's making all the throws. He's got that gamer mentality. He seems like he's got a little bit of Brett Favre in him. He likes to sling it around. He'd rather take the shot than not make a mistake. And I appreciate that. As a Green Bay fan, I appreciate that. So I think he's definitely got what it takes. He just seems like when the lights come on, he's ready to go compete. That's going to win you a lot of ball games. And I think Clemson is going to be much better at the quarterback position going into 2023.
Definitely somebody that, will test you. I think, more often than not, DJ took what was there, and Cade more often than not seems like he's going to test you for better or worse. We'll get into the rest of the position groups as well. Next up, running back. I'm not going to give the running backs any kind of negative points for the lack of use in the head scratchingly times where they deserve to be used. So actually, Shipley and Maffa together, leading the way the most of the season, the majority of the season. I'm actually going to give them an A for the season. What do you guys think? Al, we'll start with you.
Yeah, totally agree. I think you have to give them an A. I think it's it's the offensive coordinators who would get knocked down a couple of notches, because if you paid attention to this show, it's something that we talked about. I think it was 1 or 2 weeks ago. We hear time and time again after the game, we should have got the ball to so-and-so more. We heard it with Tony Elliott. We're hearing it this year, with Brandon Streeter. We have two just horses at running back. Shipley and Maffa are both good. They're different running backs, but they're both incredibly talented, and they deserve to get the ball more in any way we can. And especially when, at times where the passing game was struggling, it's like, guys, this is a no-brainer. Give them the ball. Let them do the work. And this is coming from a guy who loves it when we throw it everywhere. I like the passing game. I like the flashy type offense. I don't like to be the Georgia who ground and pound. That's not my style. But when you've got Shipley and Maffa, that's exactly what you need to base your offense out of, especially when you're struggling at quarterback. And so I think you have to give them an A. Those guys are elite talents, and I'm glad both of them are going to be here next year.
Well, Alan says you have to give them an A. Houston, quick thoughts on that. Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, if I can be contrarian, I'll just say B+, just because of the usage, I guess, but that's not their fault. I think even factoring in now that Kobe Pace is gone, look, when he was in, he produced. He honestly should have gotten more touches in the South Carolina game, like everyone else, as far as that goes. So even games that Clemson lost this year, you found yourself, what the heck is going on? There's a correlation. Will Shipley didn't touch the ball. Phil Maffa didn't touch the ball against Tennessee. Same thing with South Carolina. Same thing with Notre Dame. All three of those games, you were kind of head scratching. What is Clemson doing here? So, high grades for the running backs, because when they got the ball, they ran it. It's just they didn't get the ball enough.
All right, we'll move on to offensive line. When I look at the offensive line, I really see improvement at center. I felt like they didn't get too many false starts or snap infringements or whatever you want to call it, or snap infractions, I guess. They didn't have that so much from the center position this year. I felt like they improved. The guards, I felt like with Marcus Tate, he improved much from last year, and then he got injured, unfortunately. The tackles, I felt like did not improve, stayed the same on the left side. And Blake Miller, obviously being a true freshman, is extremely weak to the outside rush. So he's got to figure that out if he's going to stay out there, because guys coming in hot on the outside, on his right side, they get around him quickly, and it's tough. So for me, with the offensive line, especially ending the year on a sour note, I had to give them a C. Houston, throw it back to you. What do you think?
I think B-. I think there was definite improvement. And look, I'm not going to say anything about Blake Miller. The dude started 14 games at right tackle as a true freshman, and that should be absolutely commended. And he got better throughout the year. Wasn't necessarily his best game against Tennessee, but it wasn't. I mean, it's a far cry from what happened his first, couple weeks of the season. He got better, and I think he just needs to not be a freshman and get better in this. So there's nothing to go against him on that. I think the interior probably needs to be the most that's looked at. I think Will Putnam played a lot better than anyone expected at center this year. He did take a step forward. Somebody that needs to improve is Walker Parks. I feel like, for what he came in as, he's got to deliver. This is a big money year in 2023 for him to do better. But I'm not going to come down on somebody like Blake Miller. I think he stood out there and held his own for 14 games.
Big Al?
Yeah, I like echo a lot of those sentiments. I think it was funny because I was watching the Orange Bowl and we're getting hammered. Like Cade Klubnik is getting destroyed. I'm like, who in the world is responsible for this? I didn't go back and watch as many replays as I should have, but I noticed. I believe it was Putnam and Parks that got beat a few times. Trying to pull the guards or whatever, not quite making it to their man or whatever it may be. So the interior is definitely what we need to work on for sure. I'm with Houston a lot on Blake Miller. Man, that's just not done. A true freshman doesn't come in and start all those games. And so I think he did a commendable job. Yeah, he's got a lot to learn, and he's going to grow up a lot, I would imagine, over this offseason. The question is going to be who's going to be ready at left tackle. So there's a lot to like, but I think overall it depends on, whether you're going to compare this line to past Clemson lines or whether you're going to compare it to the Michigans of the world. But if you're comparing it to past Clemson lines and what we've expected, I think a B- is a fair grade as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because when you compare them to like 2018, you pretty much rather have those 2018 guys. To be honest,
not fair. That's not fair.
Not trying to knock them, but Clemson has seen better collective groups, and hopefully they will improve there. They must really. Okay, going into the pass catchers / blockers of the group is the tight ends. When I look back at the tight ends, and again, this could be a knock against the play calling and the what they have admitted to us of needing to improve getting the ball in the playmakers' hands. Tight ends had glimpses here and there of being used, and then they would fall off and disappear. And I don't really understand it. I felt like Clemson had two better tight ends in the country, and they really didn't really, show up on the stat sheet regularly. So I give them a C. I really don't know if that's really all their fault, though. It kind of goes back into our argument for the other positions as well. Alan, what do you think?
I'm definitely going with like a B+. I think you have to factor in the play calling too much in this specific case. It's something we have talked about over message a lot. We give each other a hard time about that, but I just think we should be using the tight ends more. They're too much of a weapon, especially when you got guys like Allen and Brenningstool out there. I think we should use them more. Brenningstool did have what could have been a big play, about a 20, 25-yard play in the Orange Bowl, and he kind of slid to catch it, and he missed it. It's one of those plays I think he can make. He's talented enough to do that. He's got a lot of receiver in him. He's going to be able to make that play, and I think he's going to be able to get that play going forward. And I'm sure he'll tell you, wasn't the greatest throw. He should have made the catch. But, heck, you almost could consider an A based on Davis Allen's performance alone in Wake Forest. He made a huge couple catches there, especially, one for the touchdown there when in that great game. They've done a lot of good things, and they've improved a lot over the years. And, we're kind of getting back to where we've had some tight ends that you really need a game plan around, because we've got guys that can go make some plays. So I'm definitely going to give them a B+. I think most of, their faults lie in the play calls.
Lots of positivity there from Kyle Richardson's group from Big Al. Houston, quick thoughts, and then we'll go into the final group of wide receiver.
I'll actually go a step further and give them an A. I think, outside of a drop against Louisville and those plays in the Orange Bowl, they had a solid year. You could count on Brenningstool and you could count on Davis Allen. They were probably the most consistent receivers on the team. So I would be willing to give them an A simply because the production when they got the ball in their hands was there. And just, once again, so same as the running backs, you didn't get them the ball enough.
We all agreed on on running backs being an A. Tight ends, we did not agree on. This one I think we'll agree on, but is the lowest grade for me is wide receivers. You had the shining star in Antonio Williams, and then the repeat disappointment in EJ Williams. Williams on both ends of the spectrum here. I have to go with a D for this. Still having problems getting open. Still having problems finding a guy who's a go-to third down guy. There were glimpses in there with Bo Collins at the beginning of the season, and then he gets hurt. Thankfully, they had Antonio Williams, a true freshman, but a team that has been known to be wide receiver U, relying on a true freshman when they have 6 or 7 upperclassmen guys that are basically having to transfer out because they're not showing up on the field, is very, very disappointing. So I'm very harsh with the wide receivers, and I give them a D. Houston?
Well, this is the second most complicated. If quarterbacks was the first, this is the second. If you want to take, early season with good DJ, end of season with bad DJ, and then Cade, you also have 3 different wide receiver rooms that you have. Joe Ngata showed up at the end of the season, and we don't know if he's going to come back yet at this moment. Currently on January 5th at 7:38 p.m. If Joseph Ngata is currently with the Clemson Tigers for 2023. We don't know yet. But if he does, this could be a money year because he could come back and catch the ball. Like, I feel like he's showed out against North Carolina, and he had a really good game against Tennessee, -1 drop. Antonio Williams is a star. I think you have opportunities with Adam Randall and Cole Turner to really step in there. They're just guys that just didn't deliver this year at critical times. When the book's not closed on Bo Collins either. There are stars there, and people are like, well, we just don't get them like we used to. It's like, technically, we've got probably the most talented per star rating roster of wide receivers we've had in a long time. They just didn't deliver. So what's going to happen with a quarterback that can get him the ball? I would say with everything that's happened this year, I'd give them a totality of a C-. Is what I'd give them.
All right, C- is close to a D. You just can't agree with me, I think. But Big Al, what's your thoughts?
If it makes you feel any better, Morgan, I agree with you. And I'm giving them a D. I think the potential is there, but the problem is, and you see this talked about on message boards, you hear it on the radio. We just don't have the guy who can beat you one-on-one. We don't have the speed at receiver. I think that's a real problem, especially in Clemson's scheme, who likes to rely on the deep ball and the back shoulder throws and all that stuff. If we don't have a guy that can get separation, that's not going to work. If we don't have the Mike Williams alpha who can jump over you and get it, or T. Higgins, that's not going to work. It's going to be an issue going forward. I think that the future right now, the immediate future, I guess I should say, of this wide receiver room comes down to Adam Randall. And can he be that guy? Because he is physically that guy. Ngata, I still say there's hope for this guy. Like Houston was mentioning, he was a completely different guy when Klubnik was in the game. And I expect good things from him. If he does indeed come back next season. But I think Adam Randall has the potential to be the alpha dog, but he's going to have to show it. And if we're going to continue to have these same receivers, again, we're still not going to have the guy who can take the top off next year. He's going to have to be the guy that can say, you know what? It doesn't matter if you're on me. I will go over you or through you and get it. And I think that's where the Clemson wide receiver room is going to depend on how high their ceiling is going into next season, because the other guys are good. Antonio Williams is the best we've got right now. And he's a really good route runner. He finds the open space, and that's why he's been so good this year. But he's not beating guys necessarily one-on-one. He's finding the hole in the zone, and that's what he needs to do. And if that's what, he can do, we'll get to the ball, give him the ball every time. I'm cool with that. But yeah, this, like the overall where this receiving room can go, I think it's going to depend on Adam Randall being the guy.
I like the word that John Cena said when he first came on the scene, ruthless aggression. And that's exactly what those guys need. I see it in the college football playoffs. These guys stiff-arming you, throwing you to the ground, blocking like nobody's business, trying everything to get out of tackles, trying everything to win a jump ball. And you're just kind of lacking that when you're wearing the orange, and white and the paw. Maybe they can get back to that. Hopefully they can. I think these freshmen coming in are going to light a fire. And so we will see. Hey, that's our grading Clemson's offense for 2022. The season's over. And so we give you our grades. Hey, let us know. What do you think? Are we crazy? Did we completely miss something? Did we forget something? Or were we perfect and exactly right, which, we probably assume we are. But let us know in the comments if you don't mind. And if you like this video, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of our exclusive Clemson content we put out every single week.